going to have a bag. There's a lot of stuff in it. I think it's easiest just to see what it looks like when it's fully set up. So in the bag, you obviously have the net, which is folded once and then rolled. That's how I'd like it back. You'll see there is a boundary line on a hanger that you will unravel. There are 4 guy lines. You can't really see it that well. I'll show it in the next diagram, but there's a carabiner that connects to the top of each net, and then 2 guy lines per side that fit onto 1 carabiner, and 4 steel stakes that you're given for all 4 of the guy lines that'll go into the ground. Okay, so this is what is actually in a bag, what it actually looks like. These are the boundary lines that are on a hanger. You'll see there are 4 steel stakes that'll go into the ground. There are 4 guy lines. I put them at the 4 corners of the bag. I'd like them back that way. So, take them apart. You can just leave. There's 2 carabiners in the bag too. You can leave one of the guy lines on a carabiner and then just disconnect the other guy line from it. Again, put them in it at the 4 corners. That's what the carabiner looks like. Again, 2 of those in the bag. And then you'll see the net is in the bag. It is normally folded in half and then rolled from there. I'd like it back that way, please. Is one thing to note, there is a big ring and little ring on each guy line. The big ring is what you'll use to tighten the net, and the small ring is the portion that goes with the steel stake into the ground. And one of the first things I like to do whenever I'm setting up is take the boundary lines off the hanger, and they are normally somewhat tangled, so that's why I like to walk a little bit with them. It'll help here, the next step you'll see in a moment. I'll start actually in the middle, in between both boundary lines, and just walk it out, untangle it, and then I'll go back towards the other way and do that the other way until it's fully untangled. Then I'll just unroll the net. As I mentioned, the net should be rolled and then, folded in half once and then rolled. Okay, couple of quick diagrams before we get into the net setup portion. You'll see there's a bolt at the top of each pole. That's where you're going to connect the carabiner to. And there's 2 guy lines that go onto 1 carabiner. So that's that diagram. And this is just a top-down view. So whenever you're going to set up the net, you'll actually want to have somebody just stand up the pole and hold it there. And then you'll have people put the steel stakes into the ground at 45-degree angles from the pole. Just a quick tip, whenever you're putting the steel stake into the ground, you're just angling it slightly. That'll help just keep the steel stake in the ground and keep it from popping out. And then, there's 3 different net settings. You'll never really use the middle one, which I'm pointing to here. You'll either use the lowest, which is women's height, or the highest, which is men's height. Okay, you got your 2 guy lines. You're going to put 2 guy lines again on 1 carabiner. You're going to make sure that the individual guy lines are separated as shown right there in the video. And then that's how it's going to go into the ground. You want somebody to stand the net up for you. And you'll put the steel stakes into the ground, 45-degree angle from where the pole is. And the only additional note is you'll want to take small ring into big ring and put that into itself a couple times. That's going to help you create the tension for tightening the net. And you'll do the same thing on the opposite side. 2 guy lines on 1 carabiner, making sure that the individual guy lines are separated when they go into the ground. And then, as I mentioned, remember there's big ring and little ring per guy line. You're going to put little ring into big ring a couple times and pull that through. And that's how you're going to tighten the net with some tension there. You can either tighten it or loosen it. Okay, once the net has been set, you'll then place the boundary lines. You'll see 4 little mini stakes attached to the boundary lines. Those will go in at the 4 corners. There is a red dot that you'll see. There are 2 red dots actually that show you where the middle is. You want to put those dots right where the pole is. You see in the pictures here. The easiest way to set this up is you'll have somebody hold the red dot where one pole is. You'll put one corner in where the black dot is, and then you'll do the opposite side. So you'll hold the red dot where the pole is, and then you'll put the opposite adjacent corner in on the opposite side, and then the other 2 sides should just put themselves in, basically, where you want them to be. And yeah, tear down is super simple. Just take the steel stakes out of the ground, disconnect the carabiner from the top of the net. You can keep the carabiner on one of the guy lines and disconnect the other. So there are 4 separate guy lines that go into the 4 corners of the bag. You'll want to put the net system in first. Normally the easiest, put the steel stakes in first, net system second, and the net system you'll see here in a moment. You fold once and then roll, put that in, put the guy lines in at 4 corners, and then you can roll up the boundary lines on the hanger. And then, the trick with the boundary lines is you'll just take one of the corners, lay it on the hanger, and then just start rolling. And it's as simple as that. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this incredibly boring video. I say that half jokingly. I know this has been boring, but hopefully it's been informative. You should know all the basics of setting up the net at this point. If you have any additional questions, reach out to the primary person that's renting from me. Happy to answer any questions live. If you guys want to call me or text me, I'm always happy to help. All right, thanks so much.